The untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and definitely smash that like button. And yeah, man, it's been quite some time since I've been in front of this camera. You know, way too much time if you ask me. But listen, there's quite a lot I want to say about the Usyk versus Joshua fight and what transpired in the aftermath of the fight, you know, just from the reaction of the fans and the boxing community. Because look, I've had time to sit back and digest and look at and process, you know, the reaction from boxing fans, the reaction from, you know, YouTube content creators, the reaction from the boxing community at large. And I gotta say, man, Anthony Joshua, you know, whether you love him, hate him, whatever the case may be, he deserves respect from boxing fans and the boxing community at large as the honorable champion that he is. You know, I'm gonna say it like that. I know right now it's definitely popular to kick Anthony Joshua while he's down. It's definitely popular to say that he's a hype job and that he sucks and all these things. But I'm not gonna say that, because Anthony Joshua, as far as his mentality and his approach to boxing, as far as his willingness to fight the best available competition in his weight class, he's a throwback fighter. He throws back to the days of the old fighters, where fighters weren't afraid to put, you know, everything on the line, even if it wasn't in the most beneficial circumstances to him. You know, Anthony Joshua, he could have ducked this mandatory and vacated his belt, and he would have been well within his rights, because he was in that position of power as a guy who can sell 70,000 tickets, as a guy who is going to sell a lot of pay-per-views in the UK. You know, he's in that power position as a fighter, and he didn't do that. He took a very you know, high-risk, low-reward fight against Oleksandr Usyk, and ultimately it backfired on him. And you can make the argument that, you know, a Tyson Fury fight, which would have been worth hundreds of millions of dollars, has gone up in smokes. But for that reason, I will give him, you know, his respect as a champion. Now, you know, is Anthony Joshua becoming too civilized? Has he lost that killer instinct? That's another topic for another video, and I'll get to that. But in this particular video, I want to give Anthony Joshua his just due, because of the fact that, let's just be real, all right? Let's be real. Anthony Joshua burst onto the scene to most boxing fans around like 2016 when he beat Dillian White for the British title. Became world champion, I think later on that year in 2017 or 2016 against Charles Martin. And from that point forward, you know, from the point that Anthony Joshua became champion and people knew who he is, you know, he brought something truly exciting and significant to this division. Because you got to remember, Anthony Joshua became champion when Tyson Fury had vacated the belts and took his absence from boxing due to his struggles and whatnot. So he added a lot of excitement in that time period, and you know, Deontay Wilder had a head start on him. Let's be real. Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury had a head start on him, to be honest with you. And you guys know I love Tyson Fury. I'm a Tyson Fury fan, but I'm being objective. Anthony Joshua got to the top of this division late. Got to the elite level of this division later than Wilder and Fury. And he managed to put in a significant dent in this division, you know, fighting Vladimir Klitschko very early on in his career, producing one of the best heavyweight fights in modern day history. You know, he's been someone that has been good for the sport, not just for fighters, not just for being an example to these fighters, but also to the business of boxing. And, you know, like I always say, boxing is a business, oftentimes masqueraded as a sport. And you can make the argument on a global scale over the last 4 or 5 years, there's been no fighter in boxing, Canelo included, who has been better for boxing than AJ. You know, he's single-handedly taken British boxing and shattered every British boxing pay-per-view and ticket record known to man. So he's taken British boxing into another stratosphere, to where now, and particularly during certain points in the title reign, people cared about British boxing on this side of the pond in America more than they ever had because of AJ. And I really I'm not gonna lie to you, I've been kind of disgusted. I've been very disgusted seeing people disrespect AJ and pretty much calling him a hype job and things like that. Now, you can say he's overrated, that's one thing, but to call this guy a hype job would be flat out disingenuous. And this is coming from somebody who's I'm a Tyson Fury fan before anything. I love Tyson Fury's my guy in this division, but Anthony Joshua, whether you like it or not, has been the most consistent heavyweight performer in this weight class over the last 5 years, easily. He's been the guy that put the division on his back for a time and really carried it. He's been the guy that, fought Oleksandr Usyk. Nobody wanted to fight Oleksandr Usyk. He's been the guy that fought him. He fought Povetkin, something Wilder never did. Even though you could say Povetkin took steroids when Wilder fought him. Who's to say that Povetkin didn't take steroids when Joshua fought him? He still fought him. Fought Povetkin. Fought a lot of guys, man. Fought Parker. Wilder could have fought Parker. He fought him. Anthony Joshua is a real fighter. He's a real fighter. You can question the fact, when he lost to Ruiz and got knocked out and got embarrassed at his American debut, he still had the common decency to avenge that loss. And he did avenge that loss. And he deserves credit for avenging that loss, irrespective of how you thought he fought in that fight. So I really hate boxing sometimes. I really hate the society we live in sometimes, because sometimes, one good performance, one bad performance, and people just completely flip the script on, who it is you are. And for me, look, I'm a fan of boxing, so I'm a fan of AJ. AJ has been good for boxing. I think AJ will continue to be good for boxing. Obviously, there's things he needs to change up, because there were a lot of things he did wrong in this Usyk fight. But I'm not going to sit here and say he's overrated, because if there's a fighter in boxing at the top level who deserves the respect, the adoration, and the appreciation of boxing fans for being an honorable champion, it's Anthony Joshua. I mean, we're like about a year and some change removed from Deontay Wilder and all the ridiculous excuses he's made after his loss to Tyson Fury. But when Anthony Joshua lost to Usyk, you didn't hear that. You didn't hear him making excuses against Usyk. You didn't hear him making excuses against Ruiz when he lost. He owned up to it. He let those guys have their night in their moment, because when he lost to those guys, it was their night in their moment. And he went back to the drawing board, and he figured out Ruiz. And who's to say he doesn't figure out Usyk? I think Anthony Joshua is definitely smart enough to figure out Usyk, but he's got to make a lot of changes, because this isn't Ruiz, and you're dealing with a whole other beast in this Usyk. So, Anthony Joshua has handled everything like a champion. He's handled everything like an honorable man that he is. And for that, he will always have my respect, because he hasn't made any excuses for his loss. He hasn't blamed other circumstances for why he failed. And for that reason, and for people throwing him under the bus and saying that he's a hype job, I'm happy for Usyk, and I want Usyk to, I'm a huge fan of Usyk. But if Joshua were to come back and be a 3-time heavyweight champion, then I'll be over the moon. I'll be over the moon for AJ, because AJ has been one of the best things to happen to this sport in years. I mean, in years. He's literally been one of the guys carrying the sport on his back in the mainstream over the last half decade. And to see people disrespect him, call him overrated, call him a bum, call him all these things, it's people like that. They never accomplished anything in their life, so they want to discredit AJ, and they want to downplay what he's done and forget about all the great things he's done, just because he lost to a guy in Usyk who, in my humble opinion, is going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer. He's arguably the greatest cruiserweight of all time, and he's an all-time great fighter. There's no shame in losing to an all-time great fighter. The Ruiz thing was one thing, because Ruiz was just a solid contender that he should have never lost to. But this, Anthony Joshua should never be shamed for losing to a fighter like Usyk. So I'm going to leave it at that. I tip my cap to Anthony Joshua for being one of the guys that carried the sport for the last half decade. And I'm going to be rooting for him to turn it around, because I love a good comeback, and I love what he's done for the sport. So, we'll have more Anthony Joshua as the week progresses, and Usyk as well. But man, just wanted to get that out there and make that point perfectly clear. So you guys, let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure you guys take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just kidding, Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.